Hello, everyone. It's been a while, but I'm back and I'm ready to be me. I'm ready to speak freely. I'm ready to speak my truth and to share my experience, to share my knowledge with you. As I grow and as I learn, I am happy to share that information with you. So I'll start out by so the song that is playing in the background, it just happened to find me. And it found me in the moment that I began to read a book by my cousin, Ava Blaylark, a great woman of God, great, beautiful woman of God, an intelligent woman of God. Very smart, very intelligent, and I love her. I love everything about her. Because when I look at her, I see the calling of God on her life, and I see the potential and the things that have yet to surface. And I'm just thankful to just be connected to her. So my cousin had written a book titled "The Things I Wish My Mother Would Have Told Me," and just diving into the first part, how she broke down some things. I'm gonna take these off. How she broke down her insecurities on how she saw herself. And just reading it, I was like, I would have never thought that. Because the woman that I have met walked with confidence and walked with an attitude of she knew she was just hot stuff. But then I began to think of the things that I looked at her on her physical form. The things that I wish that I could have had are the same things that was once her insecurity. And as I began to read the book, the song, it's called In Your Time. It says, you make all things beautiful in your time. You make all things beautiful in your design. And I was like, oh man, that's a little deep. Like, oh, okay, I got this. But as I begin to read more and to understand her and understand how she became the woman that I see. And I commend her and I applaud her and I thank her for being transparent. Because a lot of us have allowed society, what our family, what our peers have spoken over us and spoken to us and has modeled to us what beauty is to look like. But I realize and I've learned that the beauty that we see as man and woman is not the same beauty that God sees. And he even tells us, I have a couple of scriptures, 1 Peter 3 and verse 3 and 4 says, do not let your adoring be external, the braiding of hair and the putting on of the gold jewelry or the clothing you wear, but let your adoring be the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable beauty of gentle and quiet spirit, which is in God's sight is very precious. And then he also goes on and in Psalms 139 and verse 4, it says, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. And then I was like, well, why would God put these scriptures in there? Because he already knew that us as human, as man, as woman, we look at the outer appearance of people first. We look at if they're tall, if they're skinny, if they're thick, if they're fat, if their eyes is blue, if they got natural curly hair, is the curving of their body like a Coke bottle, and we emphasize on those things. And we as a society have made those things so important and so much of value that we have gone away and pretty much told God, you made a mistake when you made me, because I'm not gonna look like Nicki Minaj. First of all, I ain't got Nicki Minaj money. Second of all, I don't want to be in that much pain. I'm good. I can say that now, but I couldn't always say that, because even though I was told, oh my God, you're beautiful, you're this, I didn't see me. What I saw was comparison to other people. My skin is too dark. My eyes are too close together. The only thing I can say that I agreed with anybody else about me is my teeth. I love my teeth. But even that didn't matter to me in that moment, because I desire to be someone that people would look at. Someone would be like, ooh, girl, she's snatched. Or what we used to say, ooh, she's a dime piece. But I'm like, okay, now that I know that what I know, how can I take what I know to help people younger than me, the next generation, not to have to look at the world and say that I have to live up to those standards, but teach them how to live up to the standards of God. And when God looks at us and he calls us beautiful, and he says that everything that he makes, he calls it good, God makes no mistakes. Every shape that we are in, every eye color, every family, everything that created our DNA from our mother and our father, whether we like them or not, it was necessary, and it was part of God's plan to create us individually. And even how I was just reading, I was like, when in Isaiah 53:2, it says, and he's talking about Jesus himself. He said, for he shall grow up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of a dry ground. And y'all, my mind be on something. I'm like, a root from a dry ground. I said, oh, he had eczema. But that's just me. And I'm like, okay. And if anybody knows people with eczema, it's not always in the places that you can cover up. And with that, it changes your outer appearance. And to some people, you'd be like, that's not attractive. Or, oh, I feel sorry for them. So I was like, okay, see, once again, Jesus has showed that everything that we face in our life, he done faced it first. And then it goes and it says, he hath no form nor comeliness. Meaning when you looked at him, you weren't immediately attracted to him. He didn't have this stature. He wasn't this big old buff dude like, ooh, look at the muscles. Look at that. He just says it. And he says, when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. And then I was like, why would he make himself not attractive? Why would he? And I was like, yeah, because sometimes us as people, we don't listen to the heart behind the spoken words of a person. We get drawn in by their beauty, or we get drawn in by their smile, or their demeanor, or their the confidence that they have. And we look at their outer appearance, and we can get so caught up and so drawn into what we think is beautiful and what we think is attractive, we tend to lose the message that is being spoken. And so when he came down and he was formed, he chose to be able to identify with those of us who don't have that natural beauty, or who doesn't need makeup to enhance us. But he showed us that even in that, he was made in the image and the likeness of who our Father is. And who our Father is not blown away by your beauty. If you got dimples, if you got hazel eyes, if your hair comes down to your back. But he looked at us from our hearts. And our heart is what allows us to be seen as beautiful. And the beauty that we still see is still no comparison to how God sees us. So I said all that to say this. Everybody has something about them that they just don't like. Whether it be one foot is bigger, whether it be your eyebrows connected. But don't allow what we see or what we don't want to see to stop us from treating people with respect. Don't allow their outer appearance to turn you away from being a blessing to someone else. For example, I worked at a homeless shelter for a while, and I've always had, I don't know, just not sympathy, but empathy towards people in lesser positions than I am. And I've always looked at them as who they are, a person, someone's loved one, a soul that can be won for Christ. And I'll tell you, working in that shelter, some of them smelled, some of them were tore up from the floor up to the point where you'll be like, I don't know if I can handle this. But I was reminded every day that these are the same people that Christ came and died for. These are the same people that could live the life that I was living and that I could be living the life that they were living. So just be careful how we look at people, because men have insecurities just as a woman has insecurities. And things that you have insecurities about yourself, somebody else may find that attractive, or somebody else may want what you have. Whether it be a gap, whether it be the skin color that changes and spots and that you can't control. But begin to look at people the way that God looks at us. And he looks at us from our hearts. And he looks at us, when he looks at us, he sees his son. So just go knowing that we all have things that we wish we can change. But remember, God makes no mistakes. You were created and your DNA was brought on by purpose. Because there was things in your mother that God needed you to have. There was things in your father that God needed you to have. Even if your parents weren't the best, or they weren't even in your lives, it was necessary for them to have created you. Just know that, as the song says, that he makes all things beautiful in his time. He makes all things beautiful in his design. And remember, God is our creator. He is the creator of the heaven, of the earth. He's creator of everything. And there's nothing under the sun, nothing in this world that is a mystery to him. And that includes even you. So just begin to love on you and begin to see yourself the way God sees you, not the way that society has told us that we have to look and that we have to carry ourselves. And no, we're not all going to be Alicia Keys with the long hair and the mixed skin. We're not going to all be Michelle Obama's with just this flawlessness. But we all have something that's unique about us. And when we begin to look at ourselves and accept ourselves and love ourselves, can't nobody tell you nothing. No social media, no peers, no family, no one. But us as adults, be mindful of how we speak to other people's children and how we speak over our children. Even though you're saying it from a place of love, don't be like, get your ugly self over here. Or, girl, you just put that chicken wing down because you're going to be big as a house. Be careful, because our words have power. And it can cause our children to repeat the same things that we had to face. So when you look at your children, you look at other people's children, begin to speak life into them. Hey, handsome, you're so handsome. You're so intelligent. Speak those things. Speak life. Oh my God, look at you, girl. You are so beautiful. You have the best. Oh my, your smile is so, it's capturing. Speak life into them. Regardless of if their beauty is pleasing to you, then know it's pleasing to God, because he makes no mistakes. So just go and be encouraged and know that I love you, that God loves you, and that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And God said that everything that he created, he called it good. So I leave you with that. You are good.